Hello and welcome to Ultimate Fighting Chat. Today we're going to have a chat about, obviously we're going to have a chat because it's called Ultimate Fighting Chat, but today's chat is going to be about the return of the Ultimate Fighter. And that's what it's called. That's what they've called it. It's the Ultimate Fighter Season 29, but it's actually called the Return of the Ultimate Fighter. And it's called the Return of the Ultimate Fighter because I think the last season was in 2018, I think it stopped. So this is a new one, and we're going to have a chat about it. How you doing? I told you, don't ask me how I'm doing because then I'll start talking about garden fences.
Don't bother with that.
All right. Well, can we have a chat first about the Ultimate Fighter in general? What do we think of it? Not the new one, in general, not the new one. Mm-hmm. How it's changed or progressed or not over the years. There's lots of things to discuss. We don't want to go mad on it, but I just want to know your views on Ultimate Fighter, the series full stop. So there's lots of things to discuss. It used to have contestant challenges. We've mentioned that a lot in the past between the pair of us. Later on, they added women, a mixture of men and women in the same house, stuff like that. Loads has happened. As I said, this is season 29, so there's been a lot of them. Loads has happened. So overall, what do you think of Ultimate Fighter? And what do you think of modern Ultimate Fighter? Not the new one.
I think it's a show made for people like yourself and me.
Yep. And I agree with that.
For quite a while, I was massively into it. I remember when I first started watching it, because of where we worked, got free DVDs and stuff like that of...
Clear Vision was the company, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was called Clear Vision was the DVD company. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we got given them. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you had
promotional copies. Yeah.
Dylan Couture, you had when Shamrock was a captain, and I rewatched those series. Obviously, I saw them, and then years later, I rewatched them. They had rewatchable value, and they were good. I would even say through the middle era, it was watchable. It started to become a bit boring and a bit samey. They removed all stuff like the challenges. The only thing you had was the captain's challenge. That's kind of remained, and that was a good idea. But they got rid of the kind of challenge between the fighters. And honestly, I never thought I'd say it. I remember there was people saying that the show had run its course, I don't know, maybe around sort of like series 8, 9, 10. I remember we used to moan because we used to say, like, it's ridiculous Helwani don't watch Ultimate Fighter or Luke Thomas don't watch Ultimate Fighter, yet this is their job as journalists to be into this stuff. We still love watching all this stuff and, you know, getting all the content. And we were like, it's ridiculous they don't watch it. But after about, I couldn't put a number on it, but after a while, I hit that brick wall as well, where I was like, this is just got nothing to it. It's just boring. And I've seen all this series. I wouldn't say I've watched them, as in they've been on in the background, and, you know, I'll have been either doing something else, messing around on my phone, blah, blah, blah. And then when the fight comes on at the end, I'll give that a watch. And that's kind of how the show is for me, and has been for a while now. It's the previous 40 minutes before the fight has just become mind-numbingly boring. And it's always interspersed with the odd bit of excitement, you know, let me bang, bro. You know, the bloke who said, you know, he's never been knocked out, you know, crack him on the chin. The guy cracked him on the chin and knocked him out. You know, somebody trying to chat triangle on a pavement, you know, and getting his head slammed into the pavement. You know, there has been stuff, Junie Browning. I mean, that was when the show was still interesting. Or I still enjoyed the show anyway. So there's been a hell of a lot of stuff, been a hell of a lot of good fighters. I think Junie Browning was a series with Ryan Bader and stuff. That was a good series. They done the smashes, the UK versus Australia, the UK versus USA. That was the one Ross Pearson and Andre Winner and stuff came from, I think. That I really enjoyed. I like the dynamic between the two countries. There was a bit of rivalry, sort of natural rivalry in that show. So they have done the odd tweak here and there where I've gone, that was a good series, that worked. Anything with Bisping in is brilliant. So Bisping as a captain against...
Yeah, agreed.
Against, give me his name. Mayhem Miller. You know, that was a great series. That was probably the last series I went. That was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. You know, Brandao was in it. There was a lot of good fighters. Brimage, a lot of good fighters came to that series, and a lot better ones than Brimage and Brandao, funny enough. But they're the ones I remember. But I have to say, I think they tried to sort of. Do you remember when they brought in Brock Lesnar and they kind of went like, "This is exciting. Brock Lesnar's going to captain," and he was just a normal bloke, and it was kind of boring. You know, Kimbo Slice on it, right? And that was intriguing.
So what?
For an episode, and then you were like, normal bloke who eats breakfast cereal, and you know what I mean?
Not his fault.
And
not his
you know,
fault.
eats
It
3
was
meals a
good.
day and hands a bit. So
It was good that they brought him in. They said let's bring him in via the Ultimate Fighter so he can prove himself. It was actually a brilliant way to bring it in, and I think that to this date is the highest viewed season, because of him. You know, the star power of him. This is no disrespect to him. He was actually all right on it, but it was unfair to go, "Oh my God, Kimbo Slice is on it." You know, what's going to happen now? It's like nothing. But the show.
It was the Roy Nelson won that series, didn't he? I think.
Oh, by doing spam punches, wasn't it?
Lesnar versus Carwin. I mean, I don't actually. This is all from the top of my head, but
well, look,
I mean, I think that series was really, really boring.
It was.
It was hype because it had. I can't remember if it was Lesnar, that one, the Kimbo Slice one, but I know.
I can't remember if it was. It might have been Rampage. Thinking of the jersey colours, might have been Rampage, and Rashad.
But they've obviously that. I guess the point.
Was Rampage done 2 of them? He might have done one with Griffon as well. No,
Griffin as well. Yeah, that's the one where he booted through the door, didn't he? And all that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is, but look, you're right. It is made for people like us, and it was good. And I've also rewatched the first, say, 3 or 4. You know, BJ Penn and like you say, Couture, and there's been some brilliant ones, and they were good. One with Chuck Liddell and all that. They were really good. Those
series 4 was the comeback one. So that was the one where they had Nate Diaz, Greymane, I think was in that.
Matt Serra maybe was on it.
Yeah, Matt Serra when he had the argument with the jiu-jitsu coach.
Mark Lehman.
That was a great series as well.
That was good as well. And they have had good ideas. As you said, along the way, they've come up with some good ideas. One you didn't mention, because I don't need to repeat ones you mentioned, was the Black Zillions ATT one. It's another good idea, right? The 2 teams against each other rather than 2 coaches or whatever. You know, or 2 fighters that became coaches that fought at the end of the season or whatnot. So that was another good idea. So they have tried along the way to come up with good ideas. You know, adding women into it, for example, you know, changing the dynamic. There's men and women in the house. But unfortunately, when they came up with those ideas, nothing else about the show changed. Nothing. It was just that idea. And that wasn't enough. Because that's getting edited out. But that weren't enough. Yeah, it's natural, isn't it? The reason it weren't enough is because, as you just said earlier, the 40 minutes or whatever from the beginning to the fight, that never changed. That is exactly. I'm going to have to go and get that, aren't I?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, they've done a knock now.
The reason that those new ideas didn't freshen up the show is because the actual format of the show wasn't freshened up, and the bits in the house that were boring remained boring, even when you had a dynamic like men and women or an opposing team that supposedly rivals and hate each other. It was still the same. And that is the worst part of the show, is that period that you mentioned from the beginning, from the intro, them being in the house. There's been odd moments, but it's just most of the time it is the most boring, dry, drab thing to watch ever. And it's a shame, unless it's got a nutcase in it. Like you say, Junie Browning or whatever. And there has been odd moments, McSweeney headlock and all that.
Oh yeah, fantastic. That was brilliant.
There really has been brilliant bits. And then the bits where the coaches challenge, they have also been the highlight of the series, because nothing else has happened. They just took away the contestants having challenges. That was the biggest mistake, and they've never brought it back. And that's a bad thing. But I know why. I think the word was it was to do with injuries and stuff like that. And but it doesn't matter.
No, I'm not buying it. It's rubbish, right? At the end of the day, they can make it interesting. I'm going to give up some of the ideas here, right? They can make it interesting without risking injury, right? So you got a team of, what is it, 8 people on either side, as an example, in general, in most of the series, right? Just do an 8x400 meter relay. Winning team gets to choose the next fight. Done.
Yeah, you remember they did that in the boxing one, Contender, and that Jesse bloke done the dirt in the face and all that to try and get a leg up. Do you remember he did that at the beginning of the race as they set off? Is his name what's his name? The boxer.
Jesse Brinkman.
Is that his name? Yeah, he really. What's he called?
The bald guy.
Yeah.
Jesse, yeah.
If you remember at the beginning of the race, he crouched down and got a handful of dirt and dashed it at the bloke next to him to get a head start and things like that. Brilliant.
You can say to somebody, listen, you're not allowed to throw dirt in people's faces and stuff like that. I mean,
no, but that's good. It made it good.
Well, of course it did, but that could have caused an injury or something. If there was something in that sand or what have you. My simple point is rather than just going right, we won the fight last week, so we get to choose again this week. Create a bit of rivalry, create a bit of intrigue. Have an 8x400 meter relay. You can have stuff like, I don't know, guys like got 8 seconds to catch up on the last lap, and he does it, and everyone's like, hey, and it just creates something, But just to sit there watching people, I mean, we've now kind of sort of, you never really officially asked what do I think of the new series, but we're kind of naturally segueing into that. It's absolute dog dump. It is absolute garbage. And after about 15 minutes, bear in mind that I haven't seen this show now for over a year, or like I say, 2018 was the last one. So it's been out of commission for a couple of years. I should have had the hunger back for it. It should have come on. I should have been excited. I should have sat down and gone, this is going to be brilliant.
I was excited.
Yes, I was like, and literally within 10 minutes, I was huffing and puffing and going, oh, all right, well, let's just get to the fight and get this over with. I mean, I was hating it, and I did hate it. I hated the whole thing. The whole thing was crap. The new facility, crap. Well, it's not. It's amazing, right? But what I mean is it didn't add anything to it. I didn't look at the new training facility and go, oh, wow, look at this new training facility they got. They got all these wicked new equipment. It was just the old Ultimate Fighter training facility with newer equipment in it. So what?
I've got something to say about it, right? On telly the other day, it'd have been on a BT Sport thing or something. A bloke was on it called Gary DeFranco. And yeah, that's right, I'm naming him. And he is a co-producer of the show. And he said he's been there from the beginning. And in his words, it's 18 years. So if that's the case, why hasn't it changed at all? He knows what he used to be like. Does he really think that from, say, the first one, he said from the beginning, so from season 1 to now, does he think the one now is better just because it's in a brilliant facility and they've got more money? Because it's not better. So why does that guy, if he's been there all that time, why can't he change it up?
Maybe he's the problem.
I think DeFranco's got to go.
Get rid of him, man. Put us in charge. But if you ain't available, just back. I'll do it solo. Put me in charge. I've got all these ideas for wicked injury or risk-free sort of scenarios or challenges that they could do to make things interesting. Because part of the problem is the monotony of it. It's like, we won, so we maintain control. It's just boring. It would be so much more interesting if you didn't know who was going to pick the fight from week to week. And if it meant something, because let's just say you had a strong wrestler on the team, you had someone else on the other team who was amazing, but they had a little bit of fragility potentially in the wrestling area. So you really wanted to make sure you paired them two up. Then that sort of 8x400 meter relay would mean something, right? Because both teams want to win it, because one team wants to protect their number 1 seed, who's a strong wrestler, against the guy who's weaker at wrestling. You know what I mean? It creates that dynamic. If there's a little bit of aggro in the house, it creates that thing of, do you remember in the first Contender series, there was, I've forgotten his name, but he kept on calling out that guy, didn't he? Because he was like, why didn't you pick me, bro? Your team had the power to pick me. Why didn't you pick to fight me? What, you scared? And it created a real, every week where it went by and that guy didn't pick him, he kept on picking on him, didn't he? Going, what's going on here? I thought you wanted to get or what? And there's just none of that in this Ultimate Fighter. He's so bland and boring. And the second it cut to a home edited video and a guy showed off his baby daughter, I was just like, oh, do me a favor. Great. It's like anything, right? Kids are wicked, but invariably you think your kid is better than everybody else thinks your kid is, right?
Yeah.
Understandably, because it's your kid. Okay. So a photo of your kid on a swing might bring a smile to your face. You might even pull it out of your wallet and look at it from time to time and go, ain't my kid brilliant? But you know what? The rest of the world don't give a shit. It's just a kid on a swing. And every single time I have to watch one of these Ultimate Fighter shows and I have to listen to, this is my baby girl. You know, she's
I know.
my soul.
I
I
know.
do everything for her. She gave me drive, ambition. It's just like, oh, flip off. It's so boring.
And
It
it's going to
is
be the same because you've got to have that for every bloke.
exactly. That's what I mean. Every episode is the same. Home video. These are my kids. These are my dogs. We're going out to the park. Here's a home video of me walking along. Here's my wife. She's amazing. I couldn't do it without her. She cooks me eggs in the morning. It's
Yeah,
so
exactly. It becomes the whole thing becomes too scripted. And when it has the beginning bit, you get the coin toss, and that is literally the only random part of the show, basically. And then the coin toss only ever happens once. But if you remember
and
back in the days,
picks
there
are
was,
quite good as well. The picks are quite exciting. You
yeah,
know, who's going
of
to pick?
course they are, of course they are, right? But it's what you said about getting the control and who's going to fight and this, that, and the other. It just becomes not exciting. Just basically, you know what's going to happen. Whereas back in the day, if you remember when the challenges, the one where they did that wrestling challenge where you had to stand there and brick round the bloke. Yeah. And one of the teams just went, oh, we've had a bit of a go at this. Say we've done 20 rotations, and they just went, just forget it. And then the other team, what's the name of the guy? He's really famous as well. He got done by BJ Penn.
Rich Franklin was one of the captains, and Joe Stevenson went first.
That's it, Joe Daddy, right?
And
he just carried on and on and on
Yeah.
and on and on and on. Even when the other team gave up and went, well, you've won. And they just went, don't matter.
That was what was good about it. Stevenson done 200 odd revolutions, and it came to Franklin's turn, and Franklin went, forget it. We're not even going to bother trying. We're not going to beat them. We don't want to try and beat them. We're not going to exhaust our fighters doing it. So see you later. You win.
And they was all sore from it because they did it bare chested and that. They were all sore. And okay, it's only a minor injury. It's no problem. They could still fight. But it made it interesting, right? Because Joe Daddy Stevenson didn't know that was going to happen, that they were just going to give up. He just did as many as he could do. And I can't remember what the reward is for it, but I guess it's so you can pick a fight, I guess, or something like that. So, of course, he wants to win it. But it was a good strategy from the other side going, you're all tired now. I could actually pick, you definitely ain't going to be fighting next. You're all tired. You're all worn out. You've got all sores on you and everything from it. So forget it. But that's how you add strategy to it, right? There was a strategy there. And that's what added some intrigue to the show and a bit of character building and all that. But now, like you say, there's absolutely nothing. Before we go any more deeper into it, I did just want to talk about the intro for this new one. I like the idea that there was a different intro for the Return of the Ultimate Fighter, and they didn't do exactly the same thing. It was a little bit of an overview of the Ultimate Fighter. Our overview is actually better than what they did on the intro, but they've got less time, admittedly. And there's an ode to the UFC and the show, showing some of the champions that have come from it, with chats from Dana and all that. But it could have been a lot better. I mean, it didn't even say who all the champions were. It just had a few of them flashed up or whatever. But it was still, I appreciated it. And it did, at the time, before I knew the show was going to be the same boring stuff, at the time I went, brilliant. Yeah, I do like this show. It kind of got me, it did work. It kind of got me back into it. But yeah, did you like that intro?
I thought it was all right. I don't think I liked this film too much. I think I kind of looked at it and went, this was a bit budget. But
yeah, because of that narrator bloke, that voiceover bloke, I'm sick and tired of him. Get rid of him and all. Yeah, I don't want him to lose his job or out like the Franco, but yeah. But he gets on my nerves and all. He just does all the voiceover stuff, and I don't know, ain't very good. Anyway, Dana said they closed down the old TUF gym in 2018, and they've been building a new one ever since. And the show was always going to make a return. That new gym is the Apex, where we've seen loads of fights over the pandemic. So it is new to the Ultimate Fighter, but turns out we've seen it quite a few times, but not like we've seen it in this show, because obviously we just see the octagon and then the people fighting. When they walked out into the new gym, I don't know if you noticed this, but almost every contestant was wearing disgusting shorts. They were bloody horrible. You probably, I don't, no, they were bad, mate. I don't know where they got them from. I'm guessing they got them from Venom. But they, some blokes had pink ones with dots on it, and none of them were normal. They just all had disgusting shorts on. Any thoughts on the new built gym for fighting? Because I was quite surprised to see there was boxing rings over cages in a lot of it. I was like, why is there so many boxing rings in this? But I mean, have you got any thoughts? They didn't show us much of it.
No, the facility looked amazing, didn't it? All their stuff does. I mean, I thought the old one looked amazing, but this one definitely looks better. But again, so what? I mean, there's only so much you can look at a training facility and be entertained by it. I mean, I wasn't even entertained by it by a split second. They could have been doing it in a garage, as far as I'm concerned. I'd just rather they were doing something rather than just. I mean, they were talking in the house. What's his name? Brian Battle or something like that.
Whoa, hang on. Whoa, you going? No, whoa.
All right. Okay. Well, about the facility, the one
no, you ain't going into the house yet. Yeah, let's just facility. Sort of anything to say?
Didn't they? Viewing gallery. It seemed like the teams were put onto sort of like these little viewing gallery kind of podiums or something, and watching the fights from there. Again, fine, but I mean, it's not, don't make a show good or bad, does it? A viewing gallery or whatever. If anything, I prefer McGregor, being able to get sweaty armpits and throw sunglasses in the side of the cage. That to me is better. Being a bit more intimate and that. But just before they came out, they had the little bits of, I don't know, the way they shoot the stuff is always the same, isn't it? Like, they have the bits where they have the traffic, but it's moving really fast. They use those speed cameras. It's so rubbish. It's like, so they're all just like blurry lights or cars moving.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll do a hick on you. It's called time lapse. Time lapse, I think.
Time lapse. Yeah, they use the time lapse stuff. And then I don't know. Say for example, someone's getting out the coach on fight day to go into the facility. They do it in slow motion. It's like, oh man, this stuff is so boring.
I've seen they had the same stuff, the same setup when interviewing or filming the fighters with it's called a ring light. It's a ring light. That's why you have all that ring in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's all the same stuff. So DeFranco, he just needs to fix this. He gives it all the chat like I've been here from day one. It's like, listen, this needs
it shows.
Yeah, it does. You know what? It does show. But it started off as usual with Dana White coming out. I mean, how massive was he?
Yeah, big
pink neck.
Yeah, he's like his neck has got folds in it, isn't it? It's like his neck is he's starting to look like one of those pug dogs.
Yeah, massive. Right? Terrible. You've mentioned this before about him, and I noticed him in this episode. Terrible, like teenager trainers he had on.
Yeah.
No, they were bad ones, like coloured Nikes. They were teenager feet, for an old bloke. Listen, he looks powers. He looks amazing.
He does look
all big walking in, and he done a usual speech and all that. But
it's the toughest thing you're ever gonna have to face in your life. It's like, look, I ain't suggesting it's that easy. You know what? I think most people have kind of done it to a degree with this pandemic.
I think I'd like it.
I think in a way, I think I'd like it just having nothing to do but focus on training, fighting, living in a nice house, all my food there. It's like when those guys open a fridge, it's like, I don't know, it's just like so stacked with gear.
Yeah. Their names on it and everything, so whatever you order, you get. Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's an American thing, because even in the films, I've never seen an American film where someone hasn't opened their fridge and it's not just been overflowing with fresh produce and drinks and everything. I've always looked at it and gone, if you open a fridge in England, it's like half a tub of Anchor butter, a rotten tomato.
It's all off.
And a can of Foster's. Yeah, but it's like whenever it's in American
mold, film, black mold in it. It's always off. There's grapes in the bit that's supposed to drain the water off and stuff where it's dropped down the back and all that. It's
rotten cucumber. It's
always a rotten cucumber. Yeah. Inga's fridges are.
It's just stacked all the time, man. They're just. And this is, I think I'd like it, but he always says it's the hardest thing, and I guess he's talking about being away from your family and yada yada yada. But like I say, people have been doing that in the pandemic for ages now, for about last year over here. So big deal. It's supposed to be their dream. It's supposed to be what they want to do. And if they can't act eating out of a quail fridge and getting training off the best coaches for what is it, about a month, then
5 weeks, I think, or something. Yeah.
then you know what I mean. It's
Well,
it
look,
don't seem like it'd be a big deal to me personally, but there you
we'll
go.
we'll go through the show as the show goes, right? So the first part of the show, after Dana's in there and giving them the chat, and you sort of get a shot of the fighters lining up and what we're going. I can't remember the weight classes. Oh yeah, okay, middleweights and featherweights, and is that right? Bantam, sorry, bantamweights and middleweights. So small fellas and big fellas. Then they have fighter evaluations. So that's for them to evaluate the fighters and decide who they want on their teams. And during the evaluations, one of the coaches asked one of the contestants what his strengths are. What are your strengths? And his answer was, I like to knock people out. And I thought, blimey hell, how boring. And it ain't a strength. I asked you what your strengths were. Your strengths ain't that you like to knock people out. I wouldn't have picked him just because of that. So I thought that's got nothing to do with anything. And when I saw that, I just thought they chose to show that bit. So it was obviously the best bit they could do. Because this is the thing, remember, there must be thousands, hundreds of thousand hours of footage on this, and they're picking the best bits.
Yeah, I know.
Picking the best bits, right? And then Ortega starts asking a question of the people, and he says to him, listen, don't worry about don't spare my feelings. Just let me know. Do you want to be on my team or not? And I thought, what a crap question, right? Because most people knowing personalities and what we know humans to be like, probably to his face are going to go, of course I want to be on your team. But he used that as a thing to say that there was loads of people who didn't want to be on Volk's team. I just thought, listen, that ain't a sign of nothing. If you know what people are like, pretty much they're going to go, yeah, I definitely want to be on your team. And then that same bloke will go over to Volkanovski, and if he was to ask the same question, he'd go, yeah, I definitely want to be on your team. I just thought it was such a bad gauge as to, well, I'm telling you now, loads of people didn't want to be on his team. Yeah, all right. Stupid idea. Didn't even say who the coaches were, have we? We haven't even said that. Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovski are the two coaches that are going to fight at the end of the show. But yeah, so I thought that was it was funny, to be honest, but it was silly.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of when BJ Penn done the same in the Jens Pulver series, and he said, anyone who actually wants to train on my team, and they put their hands up, and he went right, well, you can be on my team, I'm not in, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like that, as in I don't think that's a good thing to say, but I liked watching it as part of a drama sort of series. So it was interesting, it was funny, it was good in that context. The way that Ortega done it, I thought it was pathetic.
Exactly.
To me, it was a little bit like Small Man Complex. It was a little bit like exactly what you said. The second he done it, right, he said it, and I went, ugh, what a crap thing. It's like, do you want to be my friend? If you want to be my friend, you can't be his friend. All that kind of playground nonsense. But he asked him, and I was like, and then like you said, they went to the interview bit, and he goes, hey, and we got quite a lot of people who didn't want to be on Volkanovski's team. As in, like, oh, everybody wants to train with me, and I'm Mr. Popular. And I was like, listen, knobhead, everybody is going to go, it's awkward, right? If he came up to me and asked me that question, I'd be like, yeah, of course I'd like to train with you. I wouldn't go, I don't want to train with Volkanovski, but I'd say, I'd like to train with you, yeah.
Yeah.
But to me, it was a pathetic thing to ask, and immediately it made me go, I prefer Volkanovski.
Yeah.
I just thought we've always said, like, the Australians and Ingers have got quite a similar sense of humour and all that kind of stuff. And straight away, I just thought that turned me off Ortega immediately.
Rubbish.
Yeah, it was.
But listen, it was something to watch, right? So we actually did like it, and we're chatting about it, right? So although we thought it was rubbish, it was actually good. I don't know. Look, the evaluations should be a good part of the show, and in the past they've been okay, but the evaluations on this were awful. They were terrible. As viewers, they literally showed us nothing. I want to see that, right? We are supposed to be fans of fighting, right? That's why we're tuning in to the Ultimate Fighter. I think I'm more interested in someone's girlfriend and kids than their fighting skill. Well, they're wrong. They're wrong. I want to see the evaluations. I want to see them grappling, striking, hitting pads. They were touch sparring and stuff. I want to see all that. And they didn't show us anything. They must have spent 30 seconds on it. Yeah, there's valuations of this. Someone explains it. Yeah, this is what the evaluations are so that the coaches can pick the fighters. And then it was done. Should have been a way bigger part of the show. And it wasn't. And in the past, it has been, right? It's had some of the talent scouts of the USC sitting there and stuff like that. It was bad. And it's an opportunity to see what I've tuned in for, which is training and fighting. That's what I tuned in for. And it showed me nothing. And so it was annoying.
More. There was what I was hoping when so like we were going to have maybe a chat about the show. I thought we'd be able to come on here and go, this guy looks good. This guy looks like he's potentially going to win it. This guy looks like he's out of his depth. That's what I wanted to be able to say. I couldn't tell you anything about any of them, basically. I don't know anything about any of them other than the two fellas who fought. I know next to nothing because I didn't get to see anything from the evaluations. That's what 90% of that first show should be, because they've got rid of the fighting in order to get into the show, which I liked, by the way.
I liked that, yeah.
But in order, now that they got rid of that, I was like, okay, well, now you have to show me something about these guys, to make me go, oh, I like him, I don't like him, he's good, he's not good, this, that, and the other. And I just saw nothing. And I couldn't tell you now whether the bloke who said he likes knocking people out, I mean, what mong of an answer, but I couldn't tell you if
that was his strength.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, we'll find out. I couldn't tell you if I couldn't even tell you anything about him. I couldn't tell you whether he's a wrestler, a striker. I couldn't tell you whether he's striking. It's going on. I know absolutely nothing about him other than he apparently likes to knock people out. So
bad missed opportunity.
And again, I look at that fighter pick thing, and I think, couldn't they make this even more interesting some way? I'm sure they could. Look, I don't have an idea for that, but now that we're talking, it's making me go, shouldn't there be something where, I don't know, just something where they can make it a bit more, maybe a couple of blind picks. So, you don't know who you're picking, or maybe somebody.
Maybe the contestant picks.
Exactly, like a wild card or something like that, where a contestant wins a wild card.
And they couldn't do that though on this season because everyone would go to Ortega's team.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, no one was playing Volkanovski.
So they couldn't do that.
Ortega's well popular. So I just think, can't you guys just do something? Give me something. Okay, here you go. Right. So let's just say, a wild card pick. Maybe the last bloke or something, or someone who's got a wild card. Let's just say during the evaluations, right, they do something like a 100-yard dash. Whoever does it in the quickest time wins a wild card chip. And that means they get to take the place of somebody else on the opposing team. So let's just say I've got picked by Ortega and I go, nah, I'm the only bloke who don't want to train for Ortega. I'm going to swap with the Volkanovski #1 pick.
You
could do that. Or even or do a challenge between the two teams, and then Ortega can nick one of Volkanovski's blokes and swap him for one that he thinks is weak on his team. Create some dynamic in the show. Yeah. Just getting 16 boring idiots on it to talk about their 4-year-old daughter is boring. I know Helwani loves it, and he loves the story, and he loves the background, and
Gareth,
who pissed on whose bed 10 years down the line, and whether what job they're doing now. I don't care. Like you, I'm interested in fighting. I'm interested in training techniques. I'm interested in a bit of drama. And this show, it don't give me any of the training techniques. It don't give me any of the drama.
No.
Not the fights is shocking and all. So
exactly. And we realised, right, that the whole reason for this show is a vehicle for unknown fighters to make their way into UFC and earn a contract, right? We know what it's for, but you've put it on telly. So it's now a TV show as well. So we haven't lost sight of the reason for it. And the reason for it stands. And it's a good reason. And it's a vehicle to get into the UFC. But it don't matter. You've put it on telly. And now you're asking me to watch, I guess, adverts aside, 40, 45 minutes of a show. So you can make it more interesting, make it better. And they ain't. So you rightly said there that after evaluations, it's fighter picks. And they didn't make that interesting either. That was the same old stuff. I would have liked a bit more insight as to why a coach was picking a fighter. That would have done, but we didn't see anything in the evaluation, so there was nothing to learn there. I don't know why the last bloke, who was obviously last, he was the last man standing, why when he walked forward to go, well, I'm the last bloke, I'm going to go on to the team, why he got told off and went, no, Dana actually told him off. So the boss man actually said, no. You wait there until your name's called. It's like, for God's sake, does it really matter?
That was the best bit of the show because, like you say, it really was like he told him off.
It's nasty, yeah.
I think it's because he says something after that. That's why I think it's. I actually don't think it's because he was being cracked. He said to him, "Don't worry, kid. Kelvin Gastelum."
Yeah.
So I think he done it because he was like, "Listen, I don't want this to just be a you just walk over to that team. I want you to have your moment, and I'm going to give you a little pep talk, as in you're still in this. You can still win this. Don't worry the fact you've been." So I think he done it for good reasons. But I agree with you. The way he said it, I went, "Ooh, it's like he's really humiliated him a bit there."
Probably you're right, Dana. We agree. We like most of the things he does, and he probably did do that for the right reasons. He probably was thinking, "Well, this is a TV show, and I'll make this bit something," right? And you're right. But I'm going to ask you now. So a different sort of question: does it really matter if you're picked last and you're on the show? You're one of the contestants, and you're not picked last, are you? You're literally last, so you don't even get picked essentially. So I'm asking you: does it matter, and would you be bothered?
If I was that guy, I wouldn't be bothered because he ended up on Ortega's team, and as we know, everybody
That's where he wanted to be.
Yeah, so he got what he wanted in the end anyway. Does it matter? Nah, why would it? Who cares? I mean, it matters
to me.
Yeah, it matters not, right? Because, like we say, Gastelum. And I remember when Gastelum did get picked last, we went, "Oh, why that guy got picked last? He actually looked decent in his sort of warm-up fight." So that's the thing. Like we say, when with the series where you had to fight to get in the house, you had some real, if you like, understanding of, "Oh, I would have picked him. I wouldn't have picked him. Why has he picked him first before this guy? This guy was better." You got a real flavour of the guys. This, you got nothing. They made the fighter picks so boring because they literally could have just been picking anything. They could have just been picking numbers out of a hat. Because when they said, I don't know, the bloke who likes knocking people out, what's his name? Trey Sean Gore. When they called his name, I was just like, you could have literally just said Pete Spratt. I mean, it made no difference. It just made no difference.
No, and it shouldn't be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. There wasn't even much of the stuff of, I've trained this guy for years. I really want him on my team. There wasn't even much of that. It was just nothing.
Yeah, none of that. No sort of when they were picking the names out. Why not have all 8 guys or whatever of the middleweights and the bantamweights all lined up with their records underneath as they're getting called out? So at least then you've got the records. You go, blimey, he's 17-2, an experienced guy, wicked record, and you got someone else who comes out and he's like 9-6, and you go, oof,
Well, I didn't really like it back in the days, but if you remember, there was a season where they did something to do with the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed. They did a seeding thing. I didn't really rate it, but again, they tried something there and went, well, let's do it where, it could be the number 1 seed is going to get matched up with a number 20 seed or whatever. But, they seeded him in evaluations, I believe. So
you're right. That was actually quite interesting, right? Because then the number 1 had to fight the bottom seed. Number 2 had to fight number 7, number 3, number 6, number 4, number 5. And the reason why that was good was because when you went into the fights, you at least had an idea of what they believe. Dana and the coaches, right, believed was the favourite, and you had someone going in there who, let's be honest, the number 1 seed be the number 8. He should have smashed the number 8 in easy and stuff. So again, it just created something.
Yeah.
This show.
That was a woman's one. Barb Honchak and all that.
Sorry?
Barb Honchak and all that. That was a women's one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like she was highly ranked, seeded, I think.
Yeah.
That was but this show just seems to be going out of its way to just eradicate anything of any interest or substance from it. I don't know who is interested in watching videotape of a bloke in his back garden talking about how the stream gets bigger in the summer and he goes out on his jet ski. I mean, if he was my next door neighbour and telling me that, I'd be like, yeah, nice one. Anyway, I've got to go. The missus calling me for dinner or something. I'd make my excuses and go because it's boring.
100%. So, hey, look, it's not his fault that he's boring, right? He's been told.
He's not boring, is he?
He's all right. Yeah, but
day-to-day life, everybody's day-to-day life is boring, and he's no exception. And that's
of course, and he's being asked to make it qual, and he's like, "Well, I can't. I can't."
The fact he looks amazing with his top off, chopping wood and stuff.
No, he did. Yeah. That bloke does look brilliant. But so the picking last, just one last thing I want to say on that. It's like you've said about other things during your own life, which we don't need to bring up. But I'm saying the principle I know you'll understand. The being picked last gives you some relevancy. It makes you a bit relevant, right? He's a bloke that we'll now remember more than somebody else. And also, if he does well in it, he's also a bloke who's going to be able to say, you see, I was picked last and I blazed you all. So it's actually a positive thing, I think. You know, it might not be positive to the person who goes, what? People thought I was crap. But I mean, how hard are you going to try in the evaluations anyway? You're already on the show. You don't have to fight to get your way in the house. I did forget about that because the first episode used to always be like 2 hours, and it was because of that. And I did forget about that. So it's good that you reminded me of that. So you don't have to do that. You're already on it. So don't worry about it. You know, it doesn't matter. So
you're flying under the radar a little bit. So people, if people will maybe overlook you a bit and stuff like that. And like you said, just to be relevant, I'd rather be picked 8th than be picked 6th. 6th is, to me,
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather be picked 8. I'd rather be, let's put it this right, I'd rather be Jason Thacker than be, you know, I could see any of the other blokes who I can't remember off that series. We remember Jason Thacker because he got someone pissed on his bed and he was pants and he got done, right? So we remember him. And I'm not saying that I'd want to get picked last and have someone piss on my bed and get done. I can do that, have my bed pissed on and the other stuff. But I'm just saying being picked last means now gives you something to aim for, gives you some motivation and go, I'll prove these guys wrong. You know, you'll find out. I won't try and harden the evaluation anyway. You're all going to get your faces smashed in, except for the bloke who likes to knock people out because obviously.
No, that's what he likes to do. So because he likes to do it, that's what's going to happen. That's all there is to it because that's his strength, remember? Yeah. Another bloke that stuck out for me, not because of any skills or anything, because I had no idea of anyone's skills, was the bloke because his name was Brian Battle. I mean, surely that can't be his name, Brian Battle. There's actually a character in a King of Fighters, the series of games, there's a character called Brian Battler. So it's like, is he a fan of him or something? And that's a bloke, that's not a real bloke, that's a character in a game. Who's Brian Battle? I mean, you could say it's a brilliant name, right? Sounds like a stage name to me, but if that's his name, then it's brilliant.
He's got some potential to have a good nickname as well, hasn't he? With that.
Go on, let's have one. Wow, that's it, isn't it?
Brian ready for battle.
Brian equipped for.
Yeah, Brian. Brian battle ready.
You could have ready at the end, yeah.
Anyway, there's won't spend too long on it now, but
it didn't take us long. We're already at. So we've done the intro, we've done evaluations, we've done the Dana chat, we've done fighter picks. At this point, it hasn't taken very long for either of us, by the sounds of it, to realize that nothing has changed about this show. And I'm about to get bits in the house. But I didn't know this yet, but it made me go, nothing's changed here. This is going to be the same. You know, DeFranco's done us. That's what I thought, right?
Yeah.
Gary DeFranco has absolutely done us. So there you go. Anyway, so let's move on to the show. You knew at this point it was going to be a boring, thing, didn't you? Because it's just
I'd already started to sort of tune out a little bit. I think I was just like, once I started seeing the videotapes and the bloke in, Alaska or wherever he's from saying there's only 4,000 people in my town and I learned to fight on YouTube. Immediately warning signs started going off in my head that 1, this guy's going to be pony, and 2, he ain't going to have out to say for himself because he just lives in the middle of a freezer. I was much right. Like I say, apart from the fact that the other fella, what was his name? Andre Petrovsky. Apart from the fact that he just looked amazing, that he looked like something from the Spartan movie or something.
Oh yeah, he's definitely out of 300, isn't he? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, his bod's incredible, beard looked wicked. I mean, he just looked amazing. But outside of that, as far as you can just skip to the fight because there's nothing to talk about. Okay,
yeah, there is. No, there is.
Right, turning up at the house and everybody running into the house like they're a 5-year-old kid running down for their Christmas presents. It's so embarrassing.
And they know it's going to be like it. They never watch it. They know there's going to be a pool. They know there's going to be, I remember when they went outside and they went, oh, a swimming pool or ping pong. Yes. It's like,
I know, it's like taking your kids to centre parks or something. It's stupid. I just wouldn't. I'd just walk in and I wouldn't care. Just right. What they should do once you see DeFranco, if he had anything about him, one series, right, he should just make it a right dive. You know what I mean? A fridge that when they open the door, you know, the light bulb is flicking on and off.
Hey, like what they do to Pilkington, right? They book hotels for him that aren't really hotels. It's just, you know, people banging music outside and to wind him up, to go, this is the real, you know, it's not a holiday that you choose to go on 5-star hotels. This is real life, you know, and this is where a local might stay if he had to stay, or a poor person might stay if they stay. You're right. He should look, Gary DeFranco. He just needs, you're right. Why didn't he mix it up? It's the same house, same stuff. There was a bloke called Ryder. That's all I remember. His name was Ryder. And he said that his teammate was literally like his brother. That's what he said. But he said, I'll still fight him. So teammates fighting, fair enough. He used the words literally like his brother. I know it's not his actual brother, but he used those words. But I know, no matter what, if my real brother was in this competition, there's nothing you could do, no amount of money, no nothing. I'd never fight him. My question to you is, would you? You're both in the competition.
Fight your brother, definitely.
Oh, not my one, yours, right? So you're in the same weight class. Don't worry about, oh, you know, they've got skills or not. I'm just talking about emotionally. Would you fight your brother in a competition for a competition? I never would. I'd just go, no, I'm not fighting him.
Well, there's obviously something different about this form of competition over, say, so would I, you know, have a game of tennis against him, for example, for money or for a competition? 100%, of course. I mean, you know, no problem. But obviously the contact, you know, punching someone, potentially causing them harm, injury, that is where the issue lies. My brother's obviously a lot harder than me, so that makes the decision on my part a lot easier to go, nah, man, you know, and like being Mr. Principal. But he'd probably be sitting there going, yeah, I'll beat him up for a fiver. So honestly,
even if I knew I could win, I just wouldn't do it.
But for the right amount of cash, I'd have a chat with him about it. I don't see why it's that big an issue.
All right, yeah, I mean, I definitely would.
I understand why it is for a lot of people and that, but it's, you know what I mean. Just do a Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather and just not go full pelt.
Well, no, you're not allowed to do that because, you know, Dana's looking
full pelt or not.
No, but Dana's looking to but he's looking to give you a contract. You know.
So what? One of us look. Yeah, but you said for money. You said for loads of money. So if
you get whatever 5G knockout and all that.
Huh?
You get 5Gs for a knockout and all that, and then you get the contract. I'm trying to put yourself in their shoes. So your brother's on the show. He got through as well. You know, if you were matched up, would you have? I mean, you haven't got a choice. I suppose you'd have to say yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't go on there with brother because I wouldn't want to have a fight with him. Would you? With your sister? Does that change anything?
Oh, yeah, I'd smash her face in easy.
That's the end of that. Then, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was Rittenhouse, wasn't it? And then another sort of dorky looking bloke. Now I know dorky looking blokes can be good. What was the name?
Chase Hooper.
Oh God, he's bad example. But you know, like
there was a dorky bloke. He was good.
Ryan Hall, for example.
Yeah, but there was a bloke who don't fight it anymore. A really thin bloke.
Well, there was a bloke. The one I was going to write. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, one of the really early episodes, and he got to the final, and he was a real dorky, bit of a weird sort of guy.
Luke Kumo.
Luke Kumo, that's it. Yeah, Luke Kumo. He was good.
Yeah, he's good.
What was the other guy that we liked? The Muay Thai guy. I think his name was Ali or Saeed or something like that. He was quite good as well. He had a mullet. He was in the UFC for quite a bit. Anyway, don't matter. But you can be look like a dork and be hard. But I looked at both those guys and went, nah, I ain't winning it.
Nasty. All right. Well, okay. Well, that brings me on to the reason you can say that is because you don't know, because you don't have a clue, because the first training session started from both teams and they make a big deal out of it, as in it comes up on the screen, Ortega training session and Volkanovski training session. They make a big deal out of it. It is part of the show. But like with the evaluations, as a viewer, they again showed me nothing. No training. I could learn nothing from it. No techniques, or like you say, training methods or anything. That's part of it. They are coaches. This is coaches training sessions. And again, I saw nothing. Instead, I had to put up with the kid videos and all that, and the jet skis outside. That's what I had instead of training. Perfect opportunity to show me what the life of a UFC fighter is all about, and I saw nothing. Nothing.
I can agree more. Yeah, just boring. I just saw a glimpse into just an ordinary guy's life, which is fine. I'm not expecting him to be a jet fighter pilot by day and an MI5 spy by night. I'm not expecting that, but I also don't need to see him getting picking his kid up from school and taking his missus' shoes in to be cleaned. You know what I mean? It's just
there's always a bit where the woman's cooking the man food. Always.
Yeah, cracking. The what's his name? Or when a couple from lying in bed together or something.
Yeah, there was a bit of a scene.
Trying to sell that you got the perfect life together. Flip off. What a crap. I'll tell you what, here's another idea. Just talking out loud for DeFranco or whatever his name is. Why not have...
That is him, Gary DeFranco. He's going to get called out on it, yeah.
Well, he should do, right? Someone's sending this chat, right? Why not have two separate houses, right? You have the scum house, like we said, the one with the flicking light in the fridge, and one that's absolute qual, yeah? And if your team wins the fight, you get to stay in the qual house, right, for a week, and the team that lost had to go and stay in the scum house. That will create that incentive of, come on, guys, you've got to win this week, because when you win, we win something for everyone. We win a nicer living environment, which is a rule in life, right? If you're successful, if you're good, if you fight through stuff, you get the riches. And if you lose, you generally end up with the rags. Give us something.
It happens on other shows, right? Apprentice, Hell's Kitchen. So Hell's Kitchen, if you win, right, you go, oh, you're going on a little cruise around the island, having a nice meal. And if you lose, you're peeling potatoes out the back.
Yeah.
And getting the deliveries in. Same as The Apprentice, right? Oh, you get a reward, you get this, and you guys have just got to go back to the house and do nothing or whatever. So it's a normal thing that happens on these shows, these reality shows. But on this, nothing again.
I feel that we shouldn't really be giving all these brilliant ideas away. But honestly, this is what I'm serious about that, right? These are good ideas that we're coming up with because, one, we like this show, we like the format and the idea of the show, but the execution is rancid. It's absolutely boring tripe. And I'm firmly in the Helwani and Luke Thomas camp of I can't be asked to watch this because it's just boring. Even the fights at the end now, I don't care. I don't care about them anymore because I've had the life sucked out of me. It's like watching trying to watch a fight after you've just seen Sarah Moras on the prelims. Your energy and everything has just been absolutely sucked out.
Whoa.
Nothing left. And so when even
like the Moras fight,
you're bored.
We like the Moras fight, remember? Because we gave it the time of day and we watched it and we didn't fast forward. We ended up loving it.
Yeah, only for a laugh though. And it's and so that's what I find with this show is that by the time it gets to the fight, I'm kind of almost just kind of just get this bloody show out of the way, just get it over with.
Yeah, well, you're still watching it every week, and we're still chatting about it every week.
I was still tuning in every week, and
exactly.
And
it's not your job to. That's what I'm saying. We are just genuine fans. It's not your job to, but it is Luke Thomas and Helwani's job to, and they don't. But we're gonna tough it out. But you said about you don't care about the fights, and that brings us on to the first fight pick. Because Volkanovski won the coin toss, he picked the first fighter. I've never known someone to pick the first fight. Why would anyone ever do that? That means that Ortega got to pick the first fight. So from his team, he picked that Andre Petrovsky, the muscle business. Versus Aaron Phillips.
Pick you up on something.
Of course you can.
I think I'd rather have the first fight pick rather than the first fighter.
Well, would you? Don't you want to pick the bloke who you think's going to win the show?
What?
Don't you want to pick the bloke who you think's going to win the show?
No, because I've only had a stupid little evaluation that is like about half hour long, and they might not even pick the guy that I wanted to pick. So I can still.
What about if one of the people on the show is how it rolls? One of them is your bloke you're training, or he's one of your teammates, and all that. That happens a lot, doesn't it? So you'd pick the first fight. I guess interesting. From memory, this is impossible, but most of the time they pick the first fighter, right? That seems to be.
I think so, yeah. And I do understand the logic behind it, but to me, I can just make sure I make a favourable matchup, and provided I match up wisely and we retain control, eventually you're more than likely going to lose control. But
Yeah.
if you make sure that you pick wisely in the first few, you give your guys the best chance of getting through. The first few guys, you give them the best chance of getting through. Whereas picking the first fighter, you know, so like I say, they might not even pick the guy that you would have picked first anyway. So
Might
I,
not.
I would pick the first fight personally.
All right. Yeah, you might get your second best fighter. And that way, I suppose you're saying you get control of the matchups to start with. And if you keep winning, you maintain that.
Exactly, yeah. And then I can make sure that I pick somebody. I either throw somebody to the wolves at the end. So I pick my worst fighter to go against their best fighter at the end, and just throw them to the wolves and go, well, you were crap. You weren't going to win anyway. Or I match up somebody who I feel has a good stylistic chance of beating that top seed. So let's just say you had a top seed who's just a real elite striker, but maybe a bit weak on grappling. I maybe say to somebody, listen, you're going to be fighting that striking guy, right? But what we're going to do, we're not going to pick that fight. We maintain control. We're not going to pick that fight for, say, 2 or 3 weeks. So we're getting a game plan down for you, a wrestle-heavy game plan down for you for the next few weeks to give you the best chance of beating him.
Yeah.
Just get it all settled in your fighter's mind.
Yeah, you think it gives you a better control over the outcome. Obviously, that outcome is only based on. It's not only based on, but it's going to be partly based on the skill of the fighters. Hence, why I would pick the first fighter. Like you say, you understand both sides of it. But honestly, I didn't really understand the other side of it. Obviously, I do know why I'd want to pick the matchup, but you've put a good case of why it is quite a good idea to do that over that. Whereas I wouldn't have ever thought it. Whereas now, maybe, yeah, it is a good idea. Look, if I didn't see anyone particularly amazing, yeah, maybe I would rather have control of what goes on, rather than put someone up against one of my weed blokes or whatever, which is exactly what happened here with this fight. One bloke looked absolute powers, and the other bloke looked like, I don't know, a bloke in the queue in the bank.
Yes.
That's what this matchup was. So I know at this point who I picked to win. I also know at this point who you picked to win because you sent me a message about it pre-seeing this fight on purpose to say, look, I want to let you know that I think, this is what you said, this bloke, Aaron Phillips, Ortega said he don't even know how to do a submission or something nasty.
Yeah.
Right? He said, I ain't having him. He don't even know how to do a submission, let alone defend them or whatever. Don't even know what he's doing of. But you said to me, look, I've had a look at what I've seen so far. The fight ain't happened yet, and there's no way this Aaron Phillips is winning. I know you. That weren't based on this other guy, the way he looked. It was based on how bad the other bloke looked.
Well, it can be based on how the other guy looks, but not aesthetically. So I didn't look at the Spartan bloke and go, he looks hard, he looks muscly, so he's going to win.
I did.
On the fact that he shadow boxes, he looks good shadow boxing or something like that. I had a look at the other fella, forget all the stuff about, I learned to fight off YouTube and stuff. But, outside that, I just looked at him and went, learned to fight off YouTube. Ortega says he can't do a submission. Watched him sort of like doing a little bit of pad work. And I was just like, I think this is only going one way. Now, are we going to talk about a fight now?
Just before the fight, there was new graphics that came up to, announce the fighter, brand new graphics, and they look nice and everything, So
good Franco, that.
Good bit of Franco, nice graphics, but bad bit of Franco. Didn't even tell you the fighter records. You mentioned the fighter records at the beginning of this. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I rewound it to make sure because I'm going to mention this to you. I have to be certain of this, so I rewound it. You mentioned it in the evaluations in the fighter picks. It might be a good idea to know these blokes' records, right? But at this point, I definitely should know that bloke versus that bloke. It came up with all the new fighter graphs. Didn't even know their records. Rubbish.
No, it did come with the records, but I could just assume that it would do. I like the sort of, if you like, interactive tailor the tape, where they're shadow boxing or standing there moving. Yeah. I thought that looked really good. So credit where it seems to me that Franco spent all his time in that, looking smart and tidy. And then somebody said to him, "But DeFranco, we've done nothing else for the rest of the show, and we're filming from tomorrow." And he went, right, get the ring light out, and
Yeah. Or he might have said,
"Send everybody a Nokia 3210 to film a home video on, because those videos are always crap well and all."
yeah, terrible.
Everyone supposed to have a good camera phone these days.
It's unbelievable in it, but I don't know. I don't know if they grain them up for authenticity or something. I don't know what happens. I'd have to ask DeFranco, but maybe DeFranco just went, "What do you mean? I don't need to do anything. It's been like this for 18 years and it's successful." But the truth is, he won't think that, because they have tried a lot of things over the years. I'm not going to go back to it, but one we did forget to mention, I don't think you did, and I don't think it was very popular, was The Ultimate Fighter Live. I liked that with Chiesa on. I think he's the only one I really remember from that thing off the top of my head. So I like that. But again, it was just another idea. Hey?
Celia.
Who's he? Oh, Sam Cecilia. Yeah, because they were mates. Yeah. Yeah.
I like both those blokes.
Yeah, so do I. So that was all right. But yeah, we can talk about the fight now. I ain't going to take long to talk about the fight, and I'll leave you to it. It was a terrible fight. We just got very, very lucky that there was a finish in the first round, which spared us of any more nothingness, because it was.
All right, yep, that's basically the same for me. I think that fella at the end, sort of the guy who won, I've forgotten his name again already, but he sort of said,
Petrovsky.
Yeah, I'll finish fights or in exciting fights or something like that. And I was like, I think even Dana said, "Oh, it was an exciting fight." I was like, it weren't. It was one of the most boring fights in history. Like you say, it's just the fact that nothing happened for the whole fight.
Zero.
The best thing about that fight was Petrovsky's legs when he came out the double doors and walked to the cage.
Oh, you mean the qual of them?
Yeah, they're absolutely.
Yeah, he looks mint, doesn't he?
Yeah, muscles on top of muscles.
He shouldn't do fight. He should definitely be in films, whatever, because this seems like a hard route to earning a living.
Yeah. He should be in men's health magazines. He should be a personal trainer to the stars.
Yeah, 100%.
Go into sort of stuff like Expendables 7, Expendables, that sort of stuff.
100%, yeah.
The only soldier to ever wear shorts on a special mission, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any more to sound the fight? What haven't he done him with a submission, right? Crushed him on top of him or whatever in his neck.
I didn't watch that fight and go, that Petrovsky's a problem. As in, I don't think he's going to win it.
No, he was straight up like a plank of wood.
Yeah.
Legs were too close together and all that, so crap footwork, stiff as out. I don't know this. You could go, well, he's got no fat on him, but I can't see him having good cardio. He might have, because he's wrestler. You don't know, but he's very, very muscular. He showed, I don't know, he's crap, right? Because they showed nothing. The only thing I'll say to him is we've had a lot of fights before where we've had wrestlers and they lay there and whatever. And even Dana says, you don't win fights by laying on someone like a blanket and all that. And the truth is, once he got him down, like I said, he spared us of the rest of the fight. He got rid of him. Now, maybe that's just because that bloke don't know how to do submissions, right? It could be that. It could be that. But the facts are the facts. He didn't just lay there. He did finish that fight. So fair play to that. But what we saw on the feet, which is how all fights start or whatever, it was bad qual from both blokes, I think.
Yeah, look, credit where it's due. When he got him down there, like you say, he sorted it out.
That's right.
That doesn't mask over the fact that I saw that fight and thought, if he comes up against someone who can stuff a few takedowns, he could be in a world of hurt, because he didn't look comfortable on the feet. It was actually sort of a couple of times where I thought, blimey, Phillips might actually win it. He might actually catch him with a punch coming in or something. So, fair play to him. He timed his takedown well. He got his takedown. He got him down there and done what he needed to do, as Ortega predicted. But I weren't very impressed by him. And, you better hope you don't fight Trajan Gore, because...
Well, get knocked out, because that's what he likes to do.
Exactly, that's what he likes to do.
Go in there and go, just so you know, you won't have seen this show. You can watch it later, but you won't have seen it. But I like knocking people out. So
the thing that annoys me, though, if I was the coach, I'd have just said to him, "That's great.
What's your strength?
Knocking people out. But what are your strengths?" Now, if he turned around and said, "Well, obviously my punch power, then, because I've just told you I like knocking people."
That's an answer.
Tell me what your strengths are. Is it ground and pound? You can knock people out with that. Is it kicks? Whatever. But I like knocking people out.
Hey, mate.
I'm embarrassing going back to Ortega and all I think it was Ortega. Ortega saying, "Well, what's his strength then? He likes knocking people out."
Yeah, the thing is, I'd like you to watch that clip again, because what's even better is an assistant coach that asked, I do believe it was Ortega's team. And when he got the answer, he went, great, and then noted it down like, right, Mint, next. He's like, no, he didn't answer you. Rubbish.
I wouldn't have even noted it down. I think by his name, I'd have just written Knob.
Yeah, or he would have got the classic, it has all the faces on a black and white thing. He would have got the cross through his.
The black marker, yeah.
Yeah. So he's banned. So after that, they have the fight replay highlights. Now, as I was watching these fight replay highlights, which can sometimes be very useful if you decided to fast forward and only 2 rounds, so maximum of 10-minute fight, which does happen a lot on The Ultimate Fighter. Not this time, because this time we're professional and we're going to talk about this every episode. So I am going to watch them. But these fight highlights can be useful if you can't handle actually watching it. But they were the worst. And I couldn't handle it. And I was thinking to myself, what's going on here? Something's really irritating me. Something's winding me up. What is it? And then I figured it out. And it was the music. Not only was the music horrible, it was way too loud. It's supposed to be in the background, and it wasn't. It was loud, busy, messy, and I hated it. I really hated it. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to go back to Gary DeFranco here, because
yeah.
Because it were all, honestly, it stood out. It shouldn't stand out that. I shouldn't have said to you, I shouldn't have even said to you, wicked music. I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't notice that. It's there, but it's not supposed to be something that you pick up on, right? You couldn't even hear the coaches, because this is a fight replay highlights. You couldn't hear the coaches talking. You couldn't hear Dana talking because the music was so loud. Sorry, I know the name of the co-producer of this show, and he's been on it for 18 years since day one. Awful, listen to the word I'm going to use, awful production. Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. I think now you come to bring that up, I do remember like that bit coming up, and I remember doing a bit of a screw face as if I was kind of a little bit on my phone, and I was kind of had a bit of a screw face, so I was like, can't hear what anyone's bloody well saying here. What's going on?
It sounds like right after the fight as well. Right after the fight, right after the fight, you have one bloke sort of going, you have Petrosky going, yeah, I've done him or whatever. You sort of have him as he's walked outside the cage, have a tiny little interview. You may or may not remember, but there, at that point, there was also really loud, horrible, powerful music at that bit as well. I can't hear nothing. I don't know. Anyway.
Look, quite a few series ago, they changed the replays to be a bit trendier as well, didn't they? Where they kind of really slowed them down and really zoomed in. So you see that, you see the fist really crunch on the face or whatever. And it was just like this. I appreciate the effort, guys, but sometimes things are the way they are for a reason. So I don't.
Crap fight. It's still a crap
fight. I don't think there's anything good about that show. Nothing. I don't like, from the time-lapse camera bits that we talk about, when they kind of cut to an ad break or come back from an ad break, to the home video chats, to the training sessions, which are always either in slow motion or just boring, or they don't show anything, to just nothing is good about it anymore. Nothing.
Well, look, I
can't. Amazing.
No, I can't think of anything, but I'm going to ask you in case you can. We've said that a big part of that show is the fighters in the house. I haven't got anything to say about the house section. Did anything happen that I've missed or forgotten about?
Oh my God, yeah, there was. Can't you remember?
Well, I will when you tell me.
Some donut came out with pictures of his boy or whatever. And this is my favourite
photos that people don't have anymore, but that's because they're not allowed their phones, you see. So they had to have real printed out photos, which don't exist anymore.
There was 2 of them that done it, right? And it was like, one of them was showing off, like, I don't know, he's 3 kids or whatever, and I've got a 3rd one on the way, and everyone's like, oh, dude, that's awesome. I'm just like, it ain't awesome. Pretty much 90% of people have kids. Big, sodding deal. It's nothing. Like, fine if you want to talk about it, talk about, but whatever, right? But then, another bloke came out and said, he's my favourite picture.
Right? Yeah, take this. You got pictures of your kids? What about these?
It was the kid sitting in the octagon with his legs crossed, watching his daddy train.
I remember it.
And I just went, oh, for flips. And everyone went, oh, dude, that picture's awesome or whatever. And I was just like, Oh man, you guys are so boring. Yeah, this is why I liked the UK USA one, because the dynamic of
Yeah, it
the
was good.
personalities and the cultures, if you like, are a little bit different, right? We like loads of American blokes. I'm sure lots of American blokes like English blokes. You get that crossover thing. There's loads of sort of things that culturally are sort of like you know, we share or are similar or what have you. But I do think one of the things is humour is different. Humour's different in England than it is in America.
Unless
It's
it's the New Yorkers.
we always said we liked Bisbing, right? And people like that because it's a very English sense of humour he's got, and we appreciate that Americans might not understand it or might not
Yeah,
get
but
it.
that's why when you see someone like Roger Whittaker, he also can handle Bisping. He's used
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
it. It's all good. He takes water off a duck's back. There's an English for you that explains someone taking the mick out of you, meaning nothing. But just to be fair to the Americans in a sense of humor, we do think that there's a bit more of a connection with, Matt Serra and
New Yorkers, isn't it? Naya Quinta, all
yeah,
the
that's right. I Quinter, Chris Weidman, all those blokes, yeah, seem to have a similar sense of humor where they like banter and taking the mick out of
that's
people,
right.
and it not bugging them too much, unless you don't invite him to be in your corner.
They'll never get over
That's right.
that. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, the English guys were boring as well, going in there, with
No, but you're
photos.
saying you like that Australia versus England one because there was a rivalry, a
Yeah,
historic rivalry, which I don't know much about, and some of that stuff, just
yeah,
makes it
bled
a bit
through.
more.
Yeah, it sort of
Yeah.
bled through a little bit, but it was also good in the UK USA because I can't remember. There was, I think, when you had all freak show Fletcher like running around the house naked and all that, and the Americans were a bit like what's going on here, and I can't remember. Someone done something, and a couple of the English guys were playing pool. I think one of them said, "So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna knock you out, you dickhead." And even something like that made me laugh because I was like, "God, it's so sort of, like people like Darren Till. It's that thing that if you're not used to it, you got someone calling you a dickhead or even the C word, but they don't mean it to call you the C. It's like Mike Perry, at the moment he's got a problem with Till, but we know that Till's being his mate and actually trying to be amazing, but Perry can't
Absolutely
handle
right.
it, you
Exactly,
know?
absolutely right. He's connecting with him and actually being friendly with him. That's
Yeah,
the unbelievable thing. Yeah. But he's taken offense to it all.
that's right. Yeah.
He's not
So
offensive. He's not
So
being
that's why the
offensive.
UK USA show had that dynamic that was, quite funny, quite interesting at times. But this show looked like, look, they showed a little bit at the end, where they do the montage, and you look like you had your Ultimate Fighter checklist. You look like you had a bit of a scrap in the house.
A
You look like
chair going flying.
you had people, yeah, you look like you had a night where people were allowed to go and drink and took it to excess and trash the joint. It looked like you had people playing pranks on each other, like I don't know,
There was
taking their
camels
car
or something in
off,
this one, wasn't there?
car wheels off, and putting a snake in the
Yeah.
dressing room. You had the pranks. I was just like, this is just the most run of the mill checklist ever. There's probably somebody who's really close to not making weight, and he's almost fainting in the sauna. There's probably going to be one of them. I was just like, I could probably watch this Ultimate Fighter series in half an hour, but instead they're going to make me sit through about 12, 13 episodes that are 40 minutes long. That's what annoys me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. These are things to come, and the bits that they show you, you want to see those bits, but it's going to be painful getting to them,
Yeah.
They ain't all going to be in one episode. That's for sure.
I'm going to find out about everybody's kids,
Oh, yeah.
where everybody lives,
Oh, yeah.
see everybody's girlfriend cooking them breakfast.
Yeah.
Watch all that just in order to see a guy stick his fist through a wall.
But
It's just not
exactly.
worth it.
Exactly. Look, even if they were cooking breakfast and it was eggs and one part of the pan got hotter and the eggs spat at them, that would be more interesting.
It would be, yeah.
Because that happened to the Hick the other day, apparently. But, it weren't because the pan was too hot. That much I can tell
There's
you.
moisture in the pan.
Yeah. That's right. Well, there's moisture from somewhere that ended up in the pan. So, look.
Sweating into the pan. That was probably.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hick sweating into the pan. So you know that is definitely a Witter comment.
It's not. It's hot by frying pans.
Yeah, okay, but Witter's sweat.
It's summer over here as well. The weather's been good. So
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Look, we don't know. We might end up being surprised. Maybe the next episode and all the episodes are brilliant. But at the moment, we've got a feel for the show, and it's the same as all the others, and I'm worse than some of the others so far. With that fight out of the way, it's on to the next fight pick. Team Ortega, he won with the muscle business, so he stays in control. And they picked the next matchup, which was Ludwig Sholinian for Ortega versus Mitch Raposo for Team Volks. That's the fight for next week's episode, the fight for us to look forward to. So given the fact that we know absolutely nothing about these guys, because the show showed us nothing about these guys, we'll probably learn next episode how many kids they've got and stuff, and whether they've been in prison and that, and the reason they're here. We might learn a little bit like that, but we won't learn anything to do with their fighting skills until we see the actual fight. So given that, we might as well do this. Who do you think is going to win that fight?
Well, what I thought was interesting about that is Ortega had control of the fight selection, and he chose Volkanovski's number one pick. That Raposo was the number one pick on the show.
Okay, yeah, I didn't pick up on that really, but all right.
He didn't even pick his first pick to fight him. Ludwig was his second bantamweight pick. He was third pick overall, but he done a middleweight in between. So that was his.
You definitely watched the show.
So that was his second pick, Ludwig. I've got a feeling that Mitch Raposo looks like he might be quite decent. Saw him on the pads for literally about 3 seconds and stuff like that. I just thought, he looks like he might be all right, this guy. He looks like he's got a, I don't know. I just think he might be all right, but I don't know where this Ludwig's from. But if he's from a name like that, he might be from Eastern Europe. And if he is, those blokes don't mess about. So there is something I wanted to bring up, actually. So just to answer your question, I'm going to go for Raposo. But, that's just...
Same for me. I was going to go with Mitch, and the only reason I had was because I liked his Barnet. That's it.
That's fair.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Yeah. But I've got something else I want to say about the show.
Yeah, brilliant.
I would say one thing that is more guaranteed and more commonplace on an Ultimate Fighter show than even Gary DeFranco. And I can't believe...
Remember, he's been there from day one, 18 years.
I stand by that. There's something in that show that is more commonplace, like as in it's guaranteed every single series. It's guaranteed. And you ain't picked up on it. I can't believe you ain't picked up on it.
You can't give me too long because it's a podcast and people, are obviously listening. They like to hear us talk.
And the podcast's already longer than the first episode, by the way.
Yeah, so. Of course it is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's better than the first episode as well.
It definitely is. Yeah. And this is crap. So
yeah.
I'll just tell you what it is.
No. Well, hang on. There's lots of things that are same, right? The format is the same. The trucks are the same. Traveling.
I'll give you a clue. It's a person.
Okay, so Dana's always in it. Wait, it's not going to be him though. It's a person. Hang on. Who else was in this thing? A person was in it. That's the same in every. It's in it every single time.
When I tell you, you're just going to go, I can't believe I missed it.
Were they in it?
Yeah.
They were in it. So it ain't someone filming it. Ain't someone doing the sounds. It's not DeFranco.
No, he was until about half hour ago. DeFranco. So definitely be him.
It ain't Dana White. It's not the coaches. It might be something to do with the coaches. No, because they'll be different every time. So it ain't going to be them. I need another clue. Why can't I think of who?
I'm tell you. It's a podcast. Go on, keep going. You ready?
Right.
Tiki's in it.
Right.
He is in every single series in what way, shape, or form.
When I was watching it, I was going to say to you, Tiki Ghosn again. Right.
I don't know. It's like, doesn't he have a gym that he just stays at? It's like it seems to be mates with everybody, and everyone just goes, we need someone, the fifth person to fill up, the coaches on someone.
But yeah, I did forget. But yeah, he is a good one. He definitely is in every single episode. I ain't 100% sure. I think he might be Ortega's manager. I think he manages Gizzers now, so I think he might be. But yeah, find some way of putting him in it. So yeah,
you're right. He is in Team Ortega.
Yeah, I think he's his manager. Yeah, I think so. Anyway,
I think he's brought in just to do pranks, and do you remember on the Rampage series, he was good at. It was always Rampage doing a prank, but Tiki was also always next to him, so that Rampage would cry on his shoulder with laughter and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tiki's in it again
Every time. True. Absolutely. Yeah, good one. Absolutely right. And I did think it at the time. I was like, him again? But yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah.
You know, if I was DeFranco or someone who worked on the show, every time he turned up, I'd be like, it'd be like
you've been here from day one, just like me.
Yeah, I bet he gets invited to the Christmas party and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good to see you, Tiki. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Nothing's changed. I don't need to run over anything with you.
Yeah.
Business as usual.
Just do a prank in about episode 6 or 7, please. And
mate.
So there you go.
Bad. Well, that's it. That's our chat on the first episode of Ultimate Fight, Return of Ultimate Fighter, Ortega versus Volkanovski, or Volkanovski versus Ortega. I don't know which way around it is, or if it even matters. They're going to fight.
Ortega, because Volkanovski's the champ, isn't it? So it gets
yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right. So who do you think is going to win that fight?
Ortega.
God,
I know you think Volkanovski's going to win. I think Ortega.
No, it's just that you, ever since that zombie fight, you've been up Ortega's crack.
Yeah, I think he's good. I thought he was good way before that. I thought he was good.
Yeah, but not after that zombie, new version. It's because of the Barnet. I knew it. It's always the same.
No, it's not. It's
the Hicks' favorite Kungas bloke is Sammo Hung, and there's a reason for that, right? Whatever that is, that's his favorite. And now this has become your favorite, and it's because of the Barnet. I knew it.
Not shaved head anymore, but I just think he's not a guy you really want to take down to the ground. So he's kind of got that in his advantage, and I think he's just got quite a lot of length, and he uses straight punches quite well. But I think if he fights whoever fights Max Holloway next is going to get smashed. That's the end of that.
Yeah,
he's the new sort of super sort of robot version.
He's like what's his name? Yeah, Belfort.
Yeah.
Super cop. Yeah. Right. Well, let's go. Let's do what Petrovsky, was that his name? Let's do what he did for us, and he made that fight bearable for getting it done in the first round. Let's do the same for our followers and go. That's the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you next time as well.
Yeah. See you next week to chat about it again.
See you later. Yeah, horse noises all the way. See you later.
Bye.